Yo, what's poppin' guys, and welcome to a series I bet you thought I never was going to make if you're familiar with my channel. But if you're not, what's poppin' guys, and welcome to how to make a platformer in Scratch. Now before I start anything, I would like to say, yes, I'm going to show you how to make a platformer, but I'm also going to teach you how to make your platformer good and how to make it unique. Because there are a lot of platformers that are carbon copies of one another, and I want to see some interesting stuff, and hopefully this tutorial series can get some interesting and unique platformers here, so that if there are platformers on the Explore page, they're actually good. So, we're going to start off, obviously, by designing the engines for it. So, we're going to call this Platformer Tutorial. Okay, so, I'm not going to be putting a lot of huge focus into the the engine, since I really want to make the focus on unique, interesting things. So, without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start off by making a sprite and calling it terrain, or levels if you want to. We'll call it levels. Okay. And I will just start off by designing a very basic level. I want you to put a lot of effort into it, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to make a very basic one, just so we can ensure that the engine actually works. Just something like this. Something very basic. Okay, and then, well, I'm going to showcase a few different things about it. So, we're going to introduce slopes into it, so a slope mechanic works. So you can go up a slope. Then we'll just add some boxes around, I guess. Yes, wall jumping will be a thing, all the stuff. All the classics of a platformer. Okay, so just design a quick little level, something like that. And we'll call it levels. And basically all we want to do here is grab a when green flag clicked. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see. We'll have it go to 0, 0. We will set its size to 100. We will show it. And we'll switch its costume to costume 1. If you want to, you can set this to 1. Just set the name of the costume to 1 if you really want to. And there you go. That's all we're going to do for that. Now we're going to make a sprite and call it player. Now, with player, what we're going to do is we're going to first design him. And now, this is already the first big part. You're going to design your character and make them interesting. What you don't want to do is make a black square, take a white circle, take a black circle. This is what you don't want to do, because this is what every platformer does. And then take another white circle. Don't do this. This is done too much. Design something unique. If you don't have an idea right at the beginning, sure, maybe do that. But since I'm just a tutorial, I'm just going to make it a black square. I want you... Well, actually, I'll make it like a blue square just so you can actually differentiate it from the rest of the terrain. Okay. There. Okay. I want you to do something unique and something interesting. This is just a tutorial, which is why I'm making mine look basic. Do something unique, do something interesting. Don't do a square with an eye. That's done to death. So, now what we're going to do is come to events, grab when I receive the green flag. You have it. Make sure you just have it set wherever you want right now. Again, this can always be changed in the future. This is just the engine. We'll set up levels and stuff later. So we're just gonna have it go there. We're gonna make two variables. We are going to make a variable called xvel for x velocity, and yvel for y velocity. Okay. We're going to set xvel to 0 and set yvel to 0. We're going to come to our controls, grab it forever, and put it right underneath. Come to our my blocks, create a new block, call it physics. Perfect. Oh shoot, I forgot. I'm sorry. Go ahead, right click your define and hit edit. Make sure it's clicking run without screen refresh. And then we actually need to make this do something. So physics, what we're going to do is grab an input and call this first input jump height. Grab another input, call it friction. Another input, we'll call it ceiling cling. Another input, slopes. Another input, wall jump horizontal. I spelled horizontal wrong because I'm bad. That's also not how you spell horizontal. Horizontal power. And another input called wall jump vertical. Oh my goodness. Vertical power. And then make sure to run without screen refresh is ticked. And after you have all that, you're just going to click OK. Now you're going to see how long it is. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. You're going to pop this physics in here. And we're going to set this. These are interchangeable. Again, if you want to know what they mean, each bubble is just this. So jump height, this can be messed around with. Let's say we want 11 jump height, 0.8 friction. And friction is just he goes on the ground, right? Well, while he's moving, after you stop pressing the arrow, he's going to slide a little bit. That's what the second button is. So we'll do 0.8. Ceiling cling. This is if you want him to be able to stick to the ceiling. I don't want him to stick to the ceiling, so we'll set that to 0. Slopes, 1. This is just a very basic one. Horizontal jump power, 11. Vertical jump power, 8. Okay. So horizontal jump power is when he jumps and he hits the wall, and he jumps how far this way he will go. Okay. And the vertical is how high he'll go. So how far he will be jumping out, or how high and small he'll be jumping out, depending on how you interchange these numbers. Again, mess around with them as much as you want later. Now what we'll do is we'll start actually defining this block right here. So we'll start by moving the y-axis all the time. So we will start by changing y by, come to our variables, by yval. Okay. Then what we will do is we will grab an if else. So if you come down to if else right here, and we will do if touching levels. Okay. Then we will grab a repeat block and put it right in here. We will come to our operators tab. We will grab the abs of, come into variables, and put yval inside of there. Come back to our controls, grab an if statement and put it inside of your repeat. And duplicate this if touching levels and put it inside. Come to our motion and grab another change y and make it change y by, what we're going to do is come to operators, grab a multiplication, put it here, a division, and put it in the first side of the multiplication. Variables, put yval in the first bubble of the division. Come to operators, put an abs of in the second part of the division. Come to variables, grab a y velocity and put it in the abs of. And then set the final bubble of the multiplication to -1. If that was a bit too fast, feel free to rewind. Now what we'll do is we'll come to our control and grab an if statement and put it underneath our repeat while still being in this first if section of the if else. Duplicate your touching levels again and put it in there. Come to your motion, grab change y by, go to variables, y velocity. Go to your control, grab an if else statement and put it underneath of there, underneath of this last if statement we made, not inside of it, underneath it, while still leaving this else open right now. What we're going to want to do now is come to operators, grab an and put it here. Then we'll grab an or and put it in the first side of the and. Now inside of this or, what we're going to do is grab a less than symbol, or greater than I guess that technically is, right here. Come to our variables, y velocity in the first bubble, 0.01 in the second bubble. Now we will go back to our operators and grab equals and put it in the second side of the or. Come to my blocks, or I guess technically all you need to do is come up here. Grab your ceiling cling, put it in the first section of the equals bubble, and put a 1 on the second. Then what we'll do is we'll come to sensing and do if key something pressed. Now this is where you would choose your jump button, whether that be up, arrow. If you really want to, if you want it to be multiple, you can grab or. So we'll do up arrow or W, we'll say. You can do another or if you wanted to. Right? And made it space. So that up arrow, space, or W can all control the jump. Come to our variables, grab a set, set our y velocity, scroll up to our block, grab jump height, and put it there. In the else statement, we will duplicate what we have here, put the jump height away, and yval to 0. Perfect. Now what we will do is inside of this else statement, we will grab a change variable, make sure it's change and not set. We will change yval by -1. Fantastic. That's our jump, basically. Inherently is what that was right there. Now we'll come to our controls. We'll grab an if, and we will do an if, come to sensing, key, and we'll start with our left arrow. So, since I've already done ORs, I might as well do it again. So, if, we'll do left first. So, if our left arrow, and on WASD, left is A. So, if left arrow or A key is pressed, all we will need to do is come to our variables. Oop, not set, sorry. Grab a change, put it in there, change X velocity by 1. Do it, actually no, since it's left, it'd be -1, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now I'll grab another one. And this time it'll be right arrow, or on WASD, that is D, and the change Y or X velocity by 1. Perfect. Now we will grab change, and we will do, or go to motion, sorry. And underneath all of that, put change X, come to variables, by X velocity. Fantastic. Continuing on, come to your control tab, and we are going to want to grab an if statement. So, put an if here. Come up and duplicate your touching levels again, and put that inside, just like that. Now, we will want to grab an if else statement and put it inside right here. Now, we'll come to operators, grab an equal symbol, set the second part of the bubble to 1, come up to our define block, grab the slopes little bubble thing out, and put it in the first half. If slope equals 1. We're doing a slope detection right now. So, we will start by setting, and now we will need to make a new variable. We will call it old y. Okay. So we will set old y to go to motion, grab y position, and put it in there. Now come to your control and grab a repeat and put it right underneath. Just like that. Go to operators, grab an addition symbol, grab an abs of, put it in the first half of the addition, come to variables, grab X velocity, put it in the first half of abs, and then in the second part of the addition, put a 1. Inside of this repeat, you will come to control, grab an if statement, duplicate your touching levels again, and put it inside, come to motion, and change your y by 1. Perfect. Now, underneath of your repeat, you will come to control, you will grab an if statement and put it underneath your repeat. This is important. You might, if it ever something messes up and it's not working correctly, make sure that you have your stuff in the right brackets. You don't want your if statement here, you want it underneath. Okay. Now making sure you have that correct, grab your touching levels, duplicate it again and put it inside. Now what you're going to do is come to motion, and you will grab a set. Oh my goodness, whoa, I've lost myself. Okay, sorry. Grab a set y, and we will set y to make a new variable and call it old. Oh, we have an old y. I am so sorry. My brain is not doing the best day. So set y to old y. Yes. Now we will come to our control, grab another repeat, put it right underneath what we just made. And inside of this little bubble, what we will do is we will come to operators, grab abs of, change your abs to ceiling, grab another abs of, put it in the bubble, go to variables, grab X velocity, and put it in the bubble, just like that. Inside of this repeat, you will come to control and grab an if statement and put it inside. Duplicate your levels and put it inside. Come to motion and hit change X by. Come to your operators. Grab a multiplication symbol and put it inside. Grab a division symbol, put it in the first bubble of the multiplication. Come to variables, grab an X velocity, put it in the first bubble of your division. Come to operators, grab an abs of, and put it in the second bubble of the division. Come to your variables and grab your X velocity variable and put it inside of the abs. And then the second bubble of the multiplication, write -1. Fantastic. Now, come to your control and pull out an if statement, and you're going to want to put this underneath of your repeat. If you ever need help figuring out where your repeat is, find your repeat and just follow the bracket down until it ends, and that is where your block will go. Duplicate your levels and put it inside. Your touching levels and put it inside, I'm sorry. Come to your motion, grab change X and put it inside. And now we get to sort of a big formula, but I don't think it's something you won't be able to handle. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to operators, grab a multiplication and put it inside. Now what we will do is we will grab a abs of and put it in the first half. Set your abs to ceiling. Grab your abs again and put it in the ceiling. Keep it as abs. Come to your variables, grab your X velocity and put it inside like that. Now you'll come to operators, grab a division and put it in the second part of your multiplication. Come to your variables, grab X velocity, put it in the first side of the division. Come to operators, grab an abs of, put it in the second side. Go to variables, grab your X velocity, and finish it off. Great. Now we will grab a set variable and put it underneath our touching levels thing. Not inside, but underneath. And set X velocity to 0. Fantastic. Now let's start filling up this other else statement. Inside of this else statement, we are going to start by grabbing going to control and grabbing a repeat and putting it inside. Now what we will do is we will come to operators, grab an abs of, set the abs to ceiling, grab another abs of, put it inside, go to variables, grab an X velocity, and put it inside of the abs. Inside of this, you will go to control, grab an if then statement, excuse me, and duplicate your touching levels and put it inside. Inside of this, you will come to motion, grab a change X by, go to operators, grab a multiplication bubble and put it inside. Grab a division bubble, put it inside of the first half of the multiplication. Go to variables, grab X velocity, put it in the first half of the division. Go to operators, grab an abs of and put it in the second side of the division. Go to variables, grab your X velocity and put it in the abs, excuse me. And then in the second part of the multiplication, write -1. Now after that, you will come to control, grab an if statement and put it underneath of your repeat. Duplicate your touching levels and put it inside. Come to motion, grab change X by, and now we have pretty much the exact same thing that we had before. So we will come up to this big equation that we had before. We will right click on the multiplication, hit duplicate to take the whole thing, and put it right inside of there. Now that you have that done, underneath, we can grab a variable. Underneath of that, right here, set X velocity to 0. Good. Now let's set up our wall jumping. We'll come to controls, grab an if statement, put it right here. So you can see at the bottom there are 2 brackets left, 1 and 2. You put it right in between and sandwich it, just like that. Now, we will grab an and symbol, or an and operator, and put it inside right here, just like this. We're going to grab all of our possible jumping that we decided, just by duplicating like that. I'll bring it down. If you only have one, you really won't need to duplicate. We'll put it inside of this first and. Now in this second and, we will grab another and put it inside. We will grab a not and put it in the first half. Grab an equal symbol, put it in the not. Scroll up to our define. Grab wall, jump, horizontal power. And bring it down with us. Put it in the first half of the equals. Make the second bubble a 0. Now we will duplicate this not and put it in the second half. And change wall, jump, horizontal power. If you don't have Scratch add-ons, when you right click, this won't show up. You'll just have to scroll up and grab your vertical power. It works all the same. It's just a little bit quicker this way. Set it to wall, jump, vertical power equals 0. Inside of this, what we will do is we will come to motion. Grab change Y by -1. Come to control, grab an if-else statement and put it underneath. Duplicate your touching levels, put it inside. Come to motion, grab change Y by 1 in here. And what we'll do here is in the else, we'll change Y by 1 and change X by 1. Now we will come to controls, grab an if statement and put it underneath the X by 1. Come to operators, grab an and put it inside. Duplicate your touching levels, put it in the first half of the and then grab your left and right, or not left and right, excuse me, your right and your right controls, your right movement controls, however many you have. I'm going to duplicate since I have multiple, and put it in the second half. Come to your variables and grab set x velocity to. Come to operators, grab a multiplication, grab an abs of, put it in the first bubble. Take your wall jump horizontal power, put it in your of, or your abs of, and in your second multiplication bubble, put a -1. Come to your variables and grab a set y velocity to wall jump vertical power. Now underneath that, we will grab a change x. So underneath this if else, or underneath this if then statement, you will change x by -2. Now we will duplicate what we just made, this if then statement, and put it underneath that change 2. Keep all this the same, except change your left arrow to your left arrow, and your D to A, if you have multiple. This stays the same, except we will take out the multiplication bubble and just make it abs of wall horizontal power, and then keep your setting Y to vertical power. Now make this change x by -2 to a change x by 1. Perfect. Now we will come to our variables. We will grab a set and put it underneath everything we've just made. Make this x velocity. Come to your operators, grab a multiplication symbol. Go to your variables, grab x velocity, put it in the first bubble. Again, you're going to have to scroll up if you don't have Scratch add-ons to grab this bubble, but you will set this to friction. And again, if you don't have Scratch add-ons and you can't do that, just come up here, grab your friction bubble, and drag it down there. Well, that's that section of the player. So we won't need to touch up on anything else for now. So now if we take a look and we start our project, you'll see our character falls. We can move our character, we can make our character jump. But as you realize, for some reason, our character doesn't move back and forth. Why is this? Ah, I figured out why. If we look here on our left in A, these are ands. These need to be or symbols. Otherwise, we won't move left and right unless we're touching both at the same time. Which means I probably messed it up somewhere else down here then. Yeah, right here. This needs to be an or. And this needs to be an or. See, it's the little tiny things that'll mess you up. Let's save it and try it again. Okay, I was just checking to make sure I was still recording. Okay, so we start our game. We do fall. We can jump. Now we can move around and jump freely. You can see that our wall jump works just fine. all this stuff works. You can go up to a slope and you'll slide up the slope. All that nice kind of stuff. And again, if you feel like any of your controls aren't really nice, or you feel like something is nice, like let's say you want to make your jump height a bit higher. Take this first section, you'll see that jump height is the first bubble. But if we set our jump height to 15, now when we jump, it is a lot higher. Or if we set the bubble to 1, you see the jump height is so much lower, you can barely even tell we're jumping. Let's watch our friction, what happens. So when we move, if you watch our character while we move, when I let go, we slide a little bit. Let's mess around with the friction. If we set the friction to a 10, you will see that our character sporadically moves very quickly and almost seems to teleport places because of how much friction there is. Where if we move the friction down to a 0, for example, when we stop, we move very slowly because of how much there is on top, how much force is being exerted on top of us, how much the ground is impacting our movement. And when we let go, we stop instantly. This is why I like 0.8, as it makes a very free-flowing and nice feeling movement. If you mess around with our wall jump horizontal and wall jump vertical, or if we set our horizontal power to maybe 20, you will see that when we wall jump, we go out very far, and it makes us not even move up. But we can balance that equally by moving our vertical up very high. So if we set our vertical to 12, maybe, you'll see that when we come up to the wall, it's a lot more balanced with how it feels. Now, if I lower our horizontal back to where it was, but make our vertical high, you will see that we just go up very fast. We go up very fast, but we won't go out very far. I find that a nice balance is 11 and 8. Then again, you can set it to whatever you like. Keep in mind, as you change your main character player sprite, these effects will seem to be a little bit different. For example, our cube is rather large right now, but if I were to take it and shrink it down a little bit, and then put it in centered, and then check it out, it'll look like we jump a lot higher than we do, and maybe move a little bit faster. And then our wall jump feels a little bit clunkier, just on the account of the fact of how much smaller our sprite is. These are just things to consider as you're designing the movement system. But that's what I'm going to leave this first tutorial. If you liked it, then like it. If you didn't like it anyways, because, you know, hopefully we'll do some more of this in the future. And I can't wait to start getting into the fun parts of designing a platformer. Obviously, every platformer has to start with the actual platforming. But now that we're past that, we can start moving on to some more interesting stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content. That'd help me out a lot. Also subscribe to my other channels. You can find those links in the description. Join Discord, link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.